Hello, today we are going to be doing a little bit of a review of Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. So, I just finished this last night and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Assassin's Apprentice follows Fitz, who is the bastard son of the heir apparent to the Six Duchies, and basically chronicles his apprenticeship under the court assassin as from like a very young age up to like mid-teens. Doesn't really say what age he is, it's very difficult to determine it at points, but it was phenomenal. The story itself, the beginning I was a little bit unsure of. The way it presents itself is that each chapter starts with like an excerpt of some sort of historical text, or like explaining some historical text or historical context, or like it's set in the future recounting things that have happened then. It's very confusing, but the narrative itself with Fitz is brilliant. Fitz goes through so much in this book and I adored it. He as a character is so fun. You see him grow throughout the first part of the book and then he kind of steadies off for a little bit. But it's just so different to see a young character grow up to this adolescent, and obviously there is 2 more books in this trilogy, and then there is way more books in the series, so there is lots to read in this world, and I'm quite excited to get to it. That will kind of be it for the spoiler-free section, I guess. Yeah, that's the spoiler-free. Let's just... So I just want to talk about how incredible all the characters were, because Fitz and Burrick's relationship is my favourite thing. It is so sweet, and like their closeness and like bond is so well done. I think Robin Hobb does an incredible job of like weaving their storylines together, and even when they're not like close, you still know that Burrick cares, and it's just so good. And there's obviously a whole array of supporting characters that I adored. Shade is interesting. Definitely an unusual character. I found his and Fitz's scenes to be interesting, to say the least. But I found the actual like concept of the Assassin's Apprentice really cool and really well done. And I think I'm going to say that a lot because I think Robin Hobb did such a good job. I'm going to put it down because I don't have to hold it the whole time. But she wove all of these characters together that should not seemingly get on. Like Verity, who is presented in such an, like, he's initially presented in one way, and then as you get to know him later on in the book, he becomes someone completely different. So at the start, he's quite uncertain, especially what to do with Fitz, but then by the end, he is Fitz's, like, friend and, like, supporter, and I really loved that. I think Verity's growth was really well done. I'm saying it again, but I'm going to keep doing it. Regal, detested him. He is an antagonist. He is probably the main antagonist for this book, I would say. The whole thing with Skilling and Galen and just the whole like assassination plot at the end, I didn't know where it was going because it kept changing like tracks. It was like, you're an assassin. Then Fitz is dying, and then Fitz is not dying because he's fine because the fool helped him, and then he's dying again, and then Rurick's dead, and then they get married anyway, and then Galen's dead, or not dead, he's been like, I want to say he's been like, unskilled. But it was so like, I could not tell where the ending was going, because it kept changing pace, and it was really cool. All the way through the storyline about like the forging and the Red Ship Raiders has definitely enticed me to continue reading more than I thought it would. Like, this book doesn't solve that. This book doesn't get to the end of that mystery. It kind of just sets it up and then just leaves it in like the back burner for most of it. It's like the context and the overall setting of the story is this like raiding, and I want to know more. And when like Fitz is left with the forged after Galen's skilling lessons, I was like, oh my god, that's not what I expected, because this book doesn't do anything that I expected, to be honest. I think I should mention the Fool, because the Fool is such a weird character, and him and Fitz share a very unusual relationship. And I don't know, I feel like the Fool, there's something very other about him, like there's something very off about him, and that was very intriguing, and it's not really addressed, and it's not really talked about properly, so I imagine it will be later, but I want to know more now. Which is basically what this book was. It was me wanting to know more. I have the next 2 books, so I cannot wait to read them, but I don't have the rest of the books in the Realm of the Elderlings. which is sad. But I will probably be getting them because that's how much I enjoyed this book. Trying to think if there's anything else to say. The wit. I should talk about the wit. So the wit is the magic where they like can connect with animals, and Burek is really against it. And Fitz uses it, and it's very interesting to see how people react to it, because obviously Burek's the only person who really knows that he has the wit, which is fine. And Burek treats it as a very bad thing. But after finishing it, I was looking up a lot of the there is a lot of potential queerness in this series. And I have to remember this book came out in 1995. And I don't think that most of the series is going to be very queer. But there is definitely some tones of it. I think Burek and chivalry, there's like some hints to that. I don't know whether that's an actual thing. I think I've read some spoilers where they're like, no, it's not. But in my head it is, because I'm allowed to make that choice. But apparently everyone is going on about how the wit is an allegory for being gay, and the like reactions to it are allegories for homophobia, and I can see it. Like Burek's disdain for it is very interesting, and it does feel very homophobic, but like not homophobic, but wit-phobic, and it kind of makes sense that he's like, it's not good, you shouldn't do it, so if you just don't think about it, you won't do it. And that is very much the mindset of a lot of homophobic people, I feel like. If you just don't do it, it's not real. So there's a lot going on, and like the politics of the book are very interesting, especially the idea that the characters in the royal line are named because of their personality traits, or their personality traits are dictated by their names. Very strange way of looking at it, but obviously the king is shrewd, and there's verity, regal, and there's chivalry. And it's very well done, and they actually pay off really well. King Shrewd is very shrewd. Regal thinks he's very regal, but actually he's just a knob. Chivalry was meant to be very chivalrous, and it's very interesting. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Fitz's narrative because it's a first-person perspective. And yeah, I am going to stop blabbering about it because I think I've said everything I need to say. Basically, I loved it, and the hints of like magic and the world and the intersection of all the world, all the geographical locations going on. Superb. I cannot wait to read the next one, so I might pick it up next. Haven't decided yet, but we will see. So I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.